Hello and welcome to episode 5 on Mastering HubSpot Service Hub. Today's a special episode specific to operators and marketers and sales leaders in senior living. My name is Paul Schmidt, and I'm joined today by special guest, fellow SmartBug and resident senior living expert, Jackie Pfriender. Today, we're going to discuss how senior living organizations can improve the customer support function using HubSpot Service Hub. Service Hub is a suite of customer support and success tools that contain a help desk and omni-channel support inside of HubSpot. It also has a ticketing system, which is great in senior living when you're thinking about managing maintenance requests with communities. Service Hub also has live chat as a knowledge base for storing all the documentation for your residents when they have a question or when their families have a question. And lastly, Service Hub has surveying systems, so it's really important, as you know, to just manage the overall quality of care for your residents so that you can exceed what your competitors are doing. You may be asking, why would senior living organizations be considering Service Hub? And 3 reasons why we see organizations evaluating Service Hub is number 1, overall lack of centralized support function. Many senior living organizations are using a lot of different tools. It could be Zendesk, it could be other help desk tools, it could be Salesforce, and it's just a lack of centralized information where they can really see all that information in one place. 2, proactive engagement with residents and families. A lot of senior living organizations are reactive when it comes to communicating with residents and families. If there's a major issue, then that's where, many times senior living organizations are, kind of caught flat-footed, and they're trying to, they have to respond to when those types of activities happen. And Service Hub really helps you be more proactive in engaging with residents and families. And then lastly, 3rd reason why senior living organizations would be looking into Service Hub is just a lack of insight into customer service function. Without having clear information on resident satisfaction and overall trends in how ticketing requests are coming in or staff morale, organizations are making guesses on how their organization is performing. And so this is what Service Hub really helps solve for. So with that bit of background, I invited senior living industry expert Jackie Pfriender for a conversation to just learn how senior living organizations can improve the quality of the customer service function and resident experience overall. So with that in mind, I would love to jump into the conversation today and jump into our first question, which, Jackie, what are some key indicators of successful customer support in senior living? And when you think about like how HubSpot can support that, take me through that a bit.
Yeah. So when I'm talking to senior living communities and, the marketing team and the sales team and the, support teams internally at those organizations, they're all kind of looking to track similar metrics to understand, satisfaction levels within their staff and the residents, of course. And then I would say the 5 or 6, A, B, C, D, E, 5 or 6 top, indicators of success in customer support would be, first of all, resident satisfaction, right? So we want to make sure that our residents are really happy. Quick response time. So when a resident or a family member is submitting like an issue with a room, a light bulb is out, an outlet isn't working, they need something for their loved one, or the resident themselves is asking for something, being able to track a quick response time on those tickets, something Service Hub can help with. Proactive communication, I think, is really important as a metric of success and a key indicator there. So being able to know like, hey, we're going to be changing everyone's batteries and their fire alarms in the next 3 days, allowing your residents the opportunity to like maybe tidy their space or not be in the room during that time frame. And then another indicator would be positive staff feedback, like you mentioned already, being able to utilize surveys within HubSpot, specifically Service Hub, to see like, how's it going for your maintenance crew? How is your sales team feeling? Like, what is your front desk people loving or hating this week? And the way that Service Hub can achieve success in these key indicators is through a centralized communication hub. Everything kind of exists within Service Hub, but can trickle into other HubSpot hubs for a really holistic view of how your team and your residents are feeling. automated workflows. So when we talk about quick response time or residents submitting tickets for needing things done within their spaces, there is a ticket workflow that can be automated. So you know things are moving to the next pattern or people are being alerted when a ticket comes into play for their department. It also has a really robust reporting and analytics opportunity and function where we can customize those things for you to ensure that you're able to see and understand how all of those key indicators are impacting your organization. And like you said earlier, really make some smart decisions using data. And then lastly, to support those initiatives is training and support. So like you said, that knowledge base is going to be an area where residents and employees can go to find information on, whether they're asking a question as a resident, right? Like, where do I find the menu for the cafeteria? Or as an employee, like, hey, I closed out this ticket. What do I do next? So I think there's a lot of opportunity to enhance the overall offerings for both residents and your staff members when you're looking at specific key indicators. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Kind of taking through some of those KPIs or key indicators in customer support and senior living. I think a lot of times, when working with senior living organizations, there's not this clear metrics that we're tracking. It can be very reactive, as we talked about, and it's managing one fire to the next. And with Service Hub, there's a lot of different reporting metrics that we can help track that and trend that over time.
100%. Yeah. It's looking away from bed count and head count, which is a primary focus, I think, for a lot of senior living management staff, and moving it towards like ongoing support for current residents, which can be a miss for a lot of senior living communities I talk to. But Paul, I think something that I hear a lot and was a big sticking point between HubSpot and the healthcare senior living space was HIPAA-compliant data storage. So how has HubSpot Service Hub ensured HIPAA compliancy?
Yeah, this has been a huge win for HubSpot customers in the last quarter, last couple of quarters. And I think we're only going to see this accelerate with some of the new functionality rolling out. But HubSpot now allows you to store sensitive data inside of the platform. Historically, HubSpot did not allow you to put anything inside of HubSpot that was sort of resident or sort of patient type of data. When you think on the clinical side, you could not put that inside of HubSpot. So if you wanted to store, what your residents, what prescriptions that they're using, or if they have specific elements, or if they have certain type, if you wanted to store social security numbers or any of that kind of information, you couldn't do that in the past. And so one of the big areas that senior living organizations can benefit from now is the ability to store that data within properties that data is stored in a compliant way and is stored in an encrypted way. Additionally, there's additional levels of data encryption and audit logs inside of HubSpot, and there's just a slew of features that make it so that you can now put all that information into one place.
I was gonna say, it was really siloed before, right? Like the clients we worked with were having to use a CRM, right? Or an ERP system and HubSpot for their amazing marketing automation needs. And so we've had to find like workarounds to make things happen. And the unsiloed approach that this HIPAA compliant data storage is offering is just going to make this platform just more robust and user friendly, I think, for our senior living community friends.
Yeah, 100%. Now we can integrate HubSpot directly with the EHR or with whatever system that you're storing, maybe more of that type of medical history information that you may have on site. You can just 2 systems now instead of having 3 or 4.
Yeah, for sure. Love that. So when we move to the next one, we're talking about senior living community strategies and what they can do from a strategic standpoint to streamline resident management through Service Hub.
When you think about how streamlining resident management through Service Hub. So the good thing about Service Hub is the ability to really have a complete, an accurate profile of the resident at your community. And what I want to share with you is just a quick glimpse into Senior Living CRM. We'll talk a little bit about this later, but and I'm going to just kind of share inside of HubSpot a quick view of what this looks like. When you think about residents that are at your community, you want a complete view of everything about them, of when they first became, when they first learned about your organization, to when they moved in, to any other like major events, and everything in between, ticketing information and all of that. And when you think about streamlining resident management, you need a complete view of all of that information in front of you. And so this is really what Senior Living CRM offers, is to have, when you have your individual residents that are all this information inside of CRM, you can have all of these different fields in here to have that information front and center. So anytime you're interacting with them or interacting with their families, you have all of that in front of you. You're not jumping from one system to the other. And that's really what allows you to streamline your resident experiences. When you have complete picture of everything in front of you, you're not having to go to 10 different systems to have a complete picture of the resident.
Well, I think this supports so many different departments within the management of a senior living community, right? Like here, even internally here, we have different obvious departments in SmartBug, and we can all come to this one hub and be able to see a really holistic vision of what's going on with our clients. And talking about a senior living community, right? You can see like, where is your resident in the buying process? Like we see here that like, they're looking at unit 109, and that's the unit they're interested, right? This is the community they're interested in. They've come to this open house. Like so many different departments can come in here and utilize this tool to really, like I said before, unsilo your process and just really level up the way you can communicate with potential residents and current residents.
100%. It has your marketing data, sales data, and support data all in one place. What I want to dive into a little bit more is just maintenance issues. So residents in your community have specific types of maintenance issues. They move in and they have they're gonna be raising their hand, and they're gonna need help with certain areas. So I'd love to just dive into a little bit more about how Service Hub can help you prioritize and address maintenance issues, those customer support types of issues effectively.
Yeah. Effectively is the short answer, right? It can help you very effectively with maintenance issues and staff requests. And so I think, and Paul, I don't know if you want to kind of share like a workflow or get into Service Hub a little bit, but so what you see here is a ticket pipeline, right? So what will happen is a maintenance request can be made via a portal or a link that you're providing towards your residents or your residents' families. We love the idea of having like a family page where both residents and their family members can go in and see, have we submitted tickets, and has the ticket been resolved, and really take kind of ownership over their and for their loved ones, kind of what's going on from that capacity. But here, once you get into the nitty-gritty and a maintenance request is made, you can have a ticket pipeline for a light fixture replacement, an electrical repair. And as things get completed, the individual goes in and waiting on us, moves it over to closed, and maybe an email then gets sent to the resident like, hey, we've completed your electrical repair. Take this survey and let us know how it went. And now we're being able to utilize really a lot of tools within Service Hub to gain feedback from our residents and to allow our maintenance team, like when a new request comes in, they'll get an email like, hey, electrical department, we have a new request that you need to kind of address. And these cards are drag and drop, super easy to use. There's an app on your phone for HubSpot, so maintenance teams can do it right from the guest's room or the resident's room. They don't have to go back to a computer. So it's a really user-friendly way to automate and streamline maintenance requests. You can have another ticket pipeline for resident onboarding. Maybe they need a new bed, or they need a new desk, or the chair's broken, or they want their locks changed, whatever that might be from an onboarding. You can have an onboarding ticket pipeline. We talked about residence requests and onboarding, and routine maintenance scheduling can also be done through Service Hub to not only alert in an automated fashion, your residents of what's going to be going on. Hey, we're painting the hallway on level 12 this week, right? That can be a message that automatically goes out to all of your residents within HubSpot, but also have a calendar of ongoing maintenance needs throughout your communities that are then trackable in these workflows. And perhaps, the lead maintenance manager at a different location is getting an email to know that these tasks have been completed. And again, it's unsiloing all of your departments and your employees and allowing centralized hub of information. I've already mentioned resident feedback surveys and chatting here, but something that you can automate and execute immediately within Service Hub. Incident reporting, compliance reporting, and document management are all key things that you'll be able to automate and then observe and report on here within Service Hub. Anything you'd add, Paul?
I think one way that we see senior living clients using some of this ticketing function inside of Service Hub is that sort of onboarding, or when a resident moves in. It's such a big experience. It's such a major moment in their life, and you need, having that well documented, really understanding what phase they are when they're moving in is so important. And that's one way that we've seen using a ticketing pipeline. You can essentially have different stages. If it's a 4 or 5 stage, 10 stage process, you can have all these stages built out right inside here, so that they're really getting the care that they need as they're moving in. Everything is well organized, so that way everybody is moving in a very really clear and orderly format, and you're creating that wonderful experience. And then you're able to survey them along the way or at the end, so you can see how you can improve that for future residents that are moving in. So that's just another way that you can, again, create that type of process inside of HubSpot.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. It's been really helpful to our clients so far. I'd like to, and I know I teased it a little bit, but I want you to talk more about the technology, which is HubSpot Service Hub. How can it transform the customer support experience for residents and their families? Because I think that's a miss in a lot of communities today, getting like one spot where they can talk to and communicate for and with their resident.
We talked a little bit about how HubSpot can really enable you to transform that customer support experience. And one of the areas is just creating a portal for your residents and their families, or creating a page for them. And what HubSpot out of the box, when you buy HubSpot, it comes with a customer portal, which out of the box, it's a sort of a place where if you want to track the status of a ticket and you want really a basic place to have all that support information aggregated for your resident or their families, you can have that in one place. But if you want to take this to the next level and really make a personalized, unique, differentiated experience, you can create a family portal, a custom portal for your residents and their families. And this can contain a lot more than just ticketing information. When you think about the residents, they're going to have different needs and different questions along the way as they live there, from not just customer support information. They're going to want to know what types of activities are happening in the community. They're going to want to know what meals are being served. They're going to want to understand different activities are happening throughout the community. They're going to want to know when certain maybe special guests are visiting the community. They're going to want to have all that kind of information. And you can create a custom portal for yourself, have all that kind of information aggregated to one page or one place. And so that way, both your resident and their family have a place to go to really be able to keep tabs on their family members. If it's the family or if it's the resident, they can have all that information in just one centralized area. And this is one area where I think HubSpot can differentiate compared to like what I see in a lot of different places for when you look at the technology that senior living organizations are using today.
Yeah, totally agree.
We talked about kind of centralizing ticketing information into one place. So, what we see happen today is, from a maintenance perspective, that can happen in so many different ways. We've seen from our clients in how their maintenance team is tracking certain issues. Sometimes it's not being tracked very well at all. Sometimes it's done in a spreadsheet, or it's just done in an email inbox. And
Yeah.
track, like as you think about scaling, tracking support issues in an email inbox is not a great way or an organized way to really ensure that things are getting done, and making sure that those, you're closing the loop with the residents, and if they're having issues, that you're making sure all that maintenance work is getting done. So
And I would
having
just
that
say, with that, from a data perspective, like if I were to be putting a loved one in a senior living community or they're moving in on their own, right? To be able to know that, like, maintenance requests are solved in under 48 hours. Like that's a stat that you can toot about to like the world as like, hey, like not only do we have this amazing, beautiful facility with the activities and the things that you and your loved ones need, but we're going to fix stuff quickly and we have the data on that. So I think there are lots of like marketing and sales opportunities to take this data that like, yeah, we're just changing a light bulb, but like we're doing it quickly. And like that's awesome. And we should be sharing that information as part of our, marketing identity.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you're not tracking it, then who knows if it's over time you're improving upon that. So those types of stats you can easily report on. And if you're managing your maintenance in an email inbox, you're not tracking it, you're not measuring it. And I would
And
just
you're
add
probably missing a few things too, which like it happens, but we have the technologies today to like miss less. And so why don't we utilize them to our advantage?
yeah, yep, 100%. I would just add one last area is the surveying functionality inside of HubSpot, and that ability to transform customer support, resident support experience. Inside of HubSpot, you have the ability to run net promoter score types of surveys or customer satisfaction surveys. You can also run custom surveys. And so, as you think about residents that have lived in your community for several years, maybe there's a certain trigger point where you want to be able to track residents that have lived there for a long period of time versus those that have lived there for 0 to 6 months. And so you have the ability to track, if you have all this information of when the resident moved inside of HubSpot Service Hub, you can have these surveys automatically just go out to your residents to gather feedback. And so that again, it's all about tracking. It's about understanding how does that experience evolve over time. And then lastly, on the flip side, you can also use those surveys for their families. So you can survey the family of the residents and see if they're overall satisfied with the experience that they're getting in supporting their family member. And that could be, if you create, we talked about that portal, that digital experience for them, you gather their feedback through some of these surveys. So you could have those automatically go out to the family. And these types of surveys are really useful for families too. If like the family's not even aware that there is like this useful portal, or there is this visibility that they could gain on their with their family member who's living in the community. It's a really useful tactic to just like kind of bring them back in the loop, keep them engaged on things.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What advice would you give to senior living operators that are just beginning to adopt a more tech-driven approach to supporting their resident? Really curious about your perspective, Jackie.
So I think that like with anything new, there's going to be some change management. And I think there are two ways to talk about something. And I tell this to my little daughter as well. There's two ways to say something, right? We can be really excited about an opportunity to invest our time in learning something new, like a new software, or we can be annoyed that like we have to learn a new software. And so change management is always going to be a struggle for all humans. We don't like change. But I think it's really important to, when you initially introduce a new technology like Service Hub to your team, to talk about all of the ways it's making their jobs easier, the ways that they're going to be able to do their jobs quicker, the ways that they're going to be able to engage with residents in a better way for an overall greater experience for everybody. And so ensuring that as you bring on any software, right, that you're looking at it from a lens of positivity and growth, not it's going to be really annoying, but we're going to do it anyway, because that's just starting off on the wrong foot. So that's the first thing. But then I think you really need to invest time in training of both staff, residents, and families. And so an agency like ours can help with that, but there's lots of ways that you internally can put together like, hey, we're going to do a 3 class, right? We're going to meet for an hour for the once a week for the next 2 weeks to show you how to use the new system, to walk through what our SOPs are going to be for the new system, to showcase the knowledge base on where all of these things are going to be. So when you forget how to do something, you know it's right here. So ensuring that you've set up all of the protocols and expectations and standing operating procedures that you're expecting from your team, get that done first. Then roll it out to your team and say, hey, we're training you on this new software. Here's all the things you need to be successful. Let's review it together. Let's practice together. And we can take questions at any time. And it's really the same for residents. So when you're bringing on a new resident, this is a part of their onboarding experience. It's like, hey, we have a portal. Come here, I will show you. I'm going to walk you and your families through this portal. So when you have a new resident, it's kind of easier because one, it's going to be a selling tactic to be like, hey, we have this really cool portal where you guys can communicate with us on what you need and give us feedback, etc. But with current residents, it is going to have, you're going to have to be a little softer and have maybe a little longer of a training process with them and their families, just because they might be stuck in I sent an email, I wrote a Post-it note and dropped it off at the office. I knocked on my local manager's door, right? Like they're going to need some grace when learning a new platform. But again, that knowledge base is going to have, hey, this is how you submit a ticket. This is how you ask questions, right? Like this is how you use the portal, and giving them everything they need up front already put together for them to then reflect on when they forget or just need to like freshen up on, hey, I haven't had to submit an electrical ticket in a while. How do I do that? So clearly documenting and then rolling out, I think is going to be a key to success. And then having like a super admin or a super user who is kind of running the behind the scenes process on Service Hub, who is mapping out these processes, who is the main like resource focal point or contact point for both internal staff members and residents to be able to come to when they do have questions.
Yeah, I think that last point is having that sort of power user, that super admin that understands the ins and outs is really important for you to designate in your organization as you. I think that people in your organization have questions, so who do they go to? And so I think training that person up, really, letting everybody know who that person is, so important, and just making sure that people feel well supported along the way.
Yeah. Yeah. And rolling something out half-baked is never a good idea, right? To employees or residents. So I think the most important thing when you're rolling out a new software is really the preparation you do before you bring it to them. So really taking the time to set that up and mapping it out so that when you roll it out, you're already an expert in the process and you can then receive those questions and feedback in just like a better state of mind.
Yeah.
This is a hot topic everywhere, but we're going to talk about AI a little bit, Paul. How does AI fit into the picture within Service Hub?
With inside of just HubSpot platform, HubSpot's been rolling out AI in very useful, practical ways across all of the hubs. In Service Hub specifically, AI is really useful in a couple of different areas. One is going to be inside of Help Desk. So when you are on Service Hub, Help Desk is your sort of omni-channel or centralized view of like where all of your tickets and all of your inquiries are flowing into. From an AI perspective, depending on the volume of inquiries that you have, you may need to be thinking about like, how can you systematize, or how can you make it so that, one person can handle a large volume of cases or tickets that are flowing in. And what AI can specifically do is if you have more complex ticketing types of or like multi-threaded tickets that are coming in, that where a resident asks a question and it goes back and forth between maybe multiple departments inside there, you can use AI inside of HubSpot to help you summarize what's going on inside there, versus you having to go back and look at conversations and threads of everything that's happening, which when you think about different ticketing systems, that can be burdensome. It can take you some time to be like to understand when did this issue first happen, what are all the things that we've done to address this? And AI can really help you just summarize all that information and tell you where do things stand today. So I love that use case because, when we look at our clients that are managing ticketing issues within communities, that's one of their 20 jobs is doing that. So, using AI can really just help them make them more effective and help them bring them up to speed more quickly.
Yeah.
The other area is knowledge base. Jackie talked a little bit about, being able to have that documentation inside of knowledge base. And this is one area inside of HubSpot that knowledge base allows you to put all of your information about that your residents may have questions on regarding procedures and processes within the community. And so let's say, and we talk about kind of making sure everything is really clearly defined, having your processes mapped, but knowledge base really helps you store all that information in a publicly accessible place so that when your residents want to know how to request a piece of furniture, or they want to put in a maintenance request or something like that, all that information is documented in a place so that they know where to go and it's all clearly spelled out. And you can also share that with their families too. So what AI can do specifically on that area is that if you don't have all that information clearly documented, what you can use AI for is to help you write some of those help articles. And that's useful just because of, AI can kind of write 80% or 90% of the article if you give it some detail. Yeah. And then from there, you go and finesse it and you make it more accurate for them.
Yeah, I think that knowledge base is a super underused but powerful Service Hub tool that is such a great like internal and external landing place, right? Both for residents and the staff members to just go somewhere to get all, like a library, to answer all of their questions.
Yeah, and so often in communities, like that information is not documented anywhere. So people are like calling the front desk, how do you do this? And so if you sort of train your residents, their families on a place to go for all of this information, it lives in one area and it's all tracked. We have good analytics on what are people asking the most questions about.
I think that really moves into that next question, that like, how do we leverage knowledge base to like empower staff and residents by reducing the number of repetitive questions and inquiries? And I think we just kind of answered it by saying, like, we're tracking it. We can see what they're asking. And does chat fall into that as well, right? The chat functionality?
Yeah, chat does flow into that. So in your knowledge base, you can have chat that rolls into that, or you can have a form within your knowledge base. If someone goes to your knowledge base and they have a very specific question, they can't find the answer, they can quickly submit a ticket that goes to your help desk. And then from there, your help desk, people that are managing your help desk can then go in and then quickly spin that question that came in via chat into an article. And now going forward, you don't have to keep answering that question. It just lives in your knowledge base.
Right, exactly. Just growing your knowledge base, but every time you get a question that you've never had before. Again, I think it's like such a great key functionality that people are so used to optimizing chat on websites now that why wouldn't we incorporate that into a senior living environment? It makes a lot of sense because there's that human to human touch that's necessary, but we don't have to answer the same questions over and over again.
Yeah, it was a major time saver for sure.
I think we're on our last question, and then we'll kind of wrap things up here. But what do you see, Paul, as some common mistakes that senior living organizations make when implementing new customer support technologies?
I think there's three of them that that come to mind. So I think the first off is just having too many support channels when you start to open up this function. Yeah. So oftentimes, when we start working with senior living organizations, maybe they don't have a clear documented process or anything. They say, oh, just email maintenance@community.com if you have an issue and deal with it. And so like you could continue operating that way when you take on Service Hub. You can integrate a sort of an email system like that to then create tickets like that. But many times when we start working with organizations, they want to open up all the channels. They want to open up a form that people can go fill out. They want to open up live chat. They want to open up emails. They want to open up maybe a calling channel. They want to open up maybe social media. And so HubSpot, the beauty of HubSpot is that it is very customizable, that you can offer many different channels. and be able to allow individuals to submit tickets that way. But I think opening up too many support channels right out of the gate, I think is a little bit dangerous, just because if you have 10 different channels, one, your residents aren't going to know really what's the most effective channel to like get something answered.
Right.
Two, the person that's sitting in the help desk themselves has so many channels to manage. And though you can have those all integrated into help desk because it is omni-channel, it can become overwhelming, and it can be hard to manage when you're just getting this going. So I would just recommend open up 1-2 channels. I think that's more than enough especially if you're new to this. Two, is just overall staffing issues. So when you're thinking about like bringing on Service Hub or a new help desk, like really thinking through like the staffing part of this. This system doesn't run by itself. There is AI and there is automation, and a lot of that stuff is going to make you more efficient, and it's going to make it easier for you. But you need to be thinking about in advance, like who's actually going to be answering these tickets, who's actually going to be responding to this.
Somebody's got to run the plays.
Yeah, exactly. So thinking through designating that, like making sure you're setting their capacity, a person's capacity or a team's capacity aside for that kind of stuff. And then lastly, clear communication and what I call closing the loop after tickets are submitted. I think this is an important part. I think when you think about customer support, when you go submit a ticket to a help desk or to support team, you want to know that they got that ticket. You want that they're working on that ticket. And with inside of HubSpot, there's automation that you can easily just set up to that'll make it so that when someone does submit an issue, that they're getting a follow-up and they're able to see, oh, that ticket's being worked on or that issue is being worked on, and someone's going to follow up with you within an X amount of time. And so I think having those clear expectations and that clear communication is just vital.
Yeah, I agree. I love that idea of closing the loop. I think it's going to be more I think value across the board for residents and for internal staff members from that closing the loop process is really going to add a lot of value to current customer service offerings, like you said, the inboxes and the spreadsheets and the things of that nature.
Yeah. Well, Jackie, thank you so much for the conversation today. I'm really excited we were able to talk through how senior living organizations can take advantage of Service Hub. Just to close things out today, we'll put in a demo video of Senior Living CRM into the comments so you're able to see what that looks like inside of HubSpot. If people would like a demo of this, Jackie, where can people go?
Yeah, so I'm gonna add, we'll have that video, the YouTube video of Senior Living CRM, but below that we'll put a link to get time on my calendar. I can demo Senior Living CRM for you a little deeper. We can talk through how HubSpot holistically or specifically with Service Hub could positively affect your organization, and how an agency like SmartBug can help as well. So grab time on my calendar if you want to talk more about Service Hub and